Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Salam alaikum, my third secondary students. Welcome to the second semester of Durus Online. Today we have speaking, as you can see, and we're going to do some practice or an examination. And this is all taken from your book Traveler 6. Okay, so today we will learn 1. To practice speaking in which the students solve a problem. 2. To use some words and expressions correctly. So again, we're going to practice speaking. I'm going to start some kind of conversation about, your future career, your future job. And we'll see if you are in a kind of a problem. How can you solve the problem? 2, we're going to use some words and expressions correctly. So we have a bunch of words and vocabulary we need to learn today. So as you can see too many people. Maybe this is a teacher, a waiter, a firefighter. Maybe this is a labor or worker. This is a professor. This is a chef. This is a doctor. And this is maybe a lawyer. Since you're third secondary, most of you should have started maybe earlier, maybe at, when you were in the first secondary, start thinking and deciding about your future job. Your parents want you to get some job which is maybe a doctor or an engineer, because your parents see things in a different way or in a way you don't see it, and you maybe have your own passion or your own decision about something you like. Today we'll talk about something very important for you, which is your future job. How do you decide on it? What do you need to think about and where you want to go? And all of you must have thought about this. So what career path do you want to follow and why? This is a question most of the teachers ask you even when you are in an elementary school. What and where, what would you like to be in the future? I like to be a teacher. Why? And most of the students, they say, I like it. No. Now you're grown up, you're secondary, you're just 2 or 3, 4 months away from deciding or going to the college. So you should have decided on this. If you ask me, what career path do you want to follow? I follow teaching, so I graduate. Why? Because I believe that as a teacher, you can change, young men and create brave men in the future. These are the essence of a society. So if you want to ask why, most of the time I say it's like to develop characters, to develop the society through teaching some good students. So the big question is now for you. Have you ever thought or decided about being whatever you want to be in the future? But there is a problem. Let's read about what if you want something and your parents wanted something else. You need to ask yourself a bunch of questions. So we start with, first, I ask myself, what is this problem about and what do I need to find the answer? So you ask yourself, now I want to go to college. What career I want, what really I need, what really I am good at. If I choose this or that, is there any problem? How can I answer this? Also, you can ask yourselves, you say, I see that the problem asks me to offer some advice to solve the problem of which major should someone choose. So what major would you choose? So I will need to know who that person is, and I will need to know what the problem is, and I need to know what the possible solutions are. So you find the problem, and then you find the solutions. You ask yourself almost all the WH questions and you look for information. Where, when, how, what, who, and why. So if I were your age, I would say, I decided to be a teacher. Now I'm a teacher now. So where? I would work in a school. I would work in a, university. I would work in a college. I would work in a institution. I need to know where. Then, when? Now I'm 18. I'll be, next year in a college, and after this I need 4 years, because if you study English literature, you need 4 years. If you study doctor, sometimes you need 6, and sometimes if you do some consultant or you majored as specialist, you may need like 8 years. And how I need good grades in English, I need good grades in my average. I need to focus on literature, I need to focus on my English. This is how. And if you were a teacher, you would say, sorry, if you were a doctor, you would say how I need to focus on math, I need to really be good at science and physics and chemistry. What do I need? You need a clinic, you need to finish the college, and if you don't have the money for the college, what do you need? And you can ask many questions. Who's going to be someone supported you, who's going to be your professor, and who's going to help you in the clinic if you start your clinic. Would you work with if you worked in a hospital, who's the boss you're going to deal with, and why did I choose to be a doctor? Good salary, stable work, good position in society, respected. You can sometimes feel happy when you treat some poor people. So many things. So this is how we ask ourselves all the questions once you decided to be whatever you want it to be. So once I've got that answer, I ask myself, have I ever seen a problem like this before? I need to answer myself, if I want to do this, I want to do that. Then I ask myself, what steps should I take to solve the problem? Thinking aloud through the process helps students build good problem-solving habits. So you need to sit with yourself, think about it, read about it, ask people, take advice, and so on. This is how you sort out your problems and find solutions. Let's take a problem, for example. Help to solve a problem. Okay, now I'm going to offer you a problem and you help solve it out. We got a situation here. What is the situation? Khalid needs to decide what area of study to major in when he goes to college. So he's like you now, he needs advice. Okay, he has a problem. He doesn't know what area of study to major in. He's very intelligent and has excellent grades, so he would do well in anything. Now I offer him some advice to solve the problem. Now since he got good grades and excellent grades, and he would do well in anything, and he's intelligent, so he got everything. So he can choose whatever he likes. Now sometimes you like to be a doctor, but your grades do not help you. You can't go a doctor because you got lower grades. But sometimes you can be an engineer, but your grades are not enough, so you go to somewhere else. Now grades are really very crucial or essential for you to choose your major. But remember, grades are not everything. You got a lot of people, very famous people who really did not take too many, higher grades, but they were successful because grades are important, and also your character is important, and how smart you are, and how smart you can deal with your job, and how you can develop your job, and how you can apply some successful investment in your job. So you need to remember all of this. So this is the good advice you can give to your friend Khalid. Now let's take some more options. If we choose, or if we chose for Khalid this kind of a problem, let's read more about the problem of Khalid, because he got now a problem with his parents. One, that is an option. His parents are pushing him to become a doctor because he would always have a secure job and make enough money to live on. Now your parents love you. They're at least 25 to 30 years older than you. They have experience, and they want you as their son or their daughter to make a good job that has security, and you can find job anywhere, and you can make enough money before you get old. So this is what your parents think about. Maybe you will be in this situation. So your parents want you to be a doctor, but you don't want to be a doctor. So what is the solution? It's another option now. Let's read about Khalid. What does Khalid want? He spends all his free time making paintings. He loves doing this and is considering a career as a professional artist, which his parents are unhappy about. So Khalid's an artist. He has, passion and obsession about being a painter or an artist, but his parents want him to be a doctor. But he wants to major in art. That is a big problem. So, if we got more options to talk about, now you know the situation of Khalid, what would you do? What advice would you offer him? So, his parents are pushing him to become a doctor because he would always have secure job and make enough money. Now but Khalid spends all his free time making paintings and he loves doing this and is considering a career as a professional artist. So, which his parents are unhappy about. So his parents don't want him to be an artist. Why? Because his parents maybe would think it's not a secure job. You may work for 1 month in a year, and the rest of the year you're not gonna find a job. And also, being a painter is not a profitable sometimes. Okay, unless you're a very famous painter and you have to wait years. The most famous painter was Leonardo da Vinci, which we talked about in a previous lesson. He lived most of his life poor, and after his death, he's painting the Mona Lisa, which read a very, very high, cash or amount of money, but he couldn't enjoy this money because he was dead. Anyway, let's focus on Khalid and give him some kind of advice. Now, you can use major or immature, decision, dead end job, and employed, job security, impractical, or hobby. So, Khalid, that's a good advice for Khalid. You can still work on your obsession in art. So, any person or any man has two things in his life. He get a hobby and he get a career. In your career, the most important thing is that you have enough money, you got security in your work or in your job, and you still can do painting in your free time. So now you have a hobby and you have a career. If you read it now, let's take some more solutions. So we offer the first solution to Khalid, which is, well, I think a medical degree is an excellent choice for you, brother. It's a major decision because being trained as a doctor is a rewarding job and it entails job security. So that's a good advice. Let's find another advice or another solution, which is solution 2. I don't think that Khalid should become a professional artist because his parents wouldn't be happy about it. He could always continue drawing as a hobby and at the same time follow his parents' advice. Yet, it is true that if this is his vocation and he really believes in it, he should go for his dream. He needs to be determined and sure about it. I think the first one and the second one we can make another a solution by separating Khalid's hobby and his obsessions and his free time to be devoted for painting, and his career and his life, which needs stability, security, money, and all of this. So there's a career and there's a hobby. Now let's do some examination practice. I'm going to give you some examination practice if you can use it. You may have some, TOEFL or IELTS speaking test. So let's take this. Now, complete the second sentence so it has the similar meaning or a similar meaning to the first using the words given. So I'm going to give you words like whether or if. Rang is the passive ring, and complain, which is the passive complain. So, are you working today, Peter? He asked. Now, this is about what? You remember? This is about transferring from active into reported questions. So the question is, which is, you have to remember, if you have a direct question or yes or no question, we add whether or if. And if you have a WH question, we don't add whether or if. And the rest is that if you have present continuous, we change it to past continuous. You have simple present, simple past. If you have simple past, past. Perfect. And pay attention to the changes that we do for, today, that day, tomorrow, the day after, yesterday, and so on. And I always start with he wanted, brain explained, or he complained. So let's do number one. Are you working today, Peter? He asked, and I need to put whether or if because this is a direct question. So he wanted to know whether or if Peter was working that day. Are you working? This is present continuous, so we change it. Was working, which is past continuous. Good. Now let's go again to number two. Are you? The question or the sentence. I rang you last night, John, said Brian, and we changed the verb, rang into rung. Brian explained to John that he had rung him the previous night. Last night, we change it into the previous night. And number three, which is I have been standing in this queue for 2 hours, said the man. So the man complained because he's complaining. The man complained about standing in that queue for 2 hours. Now, that was all for today. So what we have learned today is that we done some speaking and we talked about how we solve a problem. And for number two, we got a kind of an examination, some kind of examination of practice, and we use some appropriate vocabulary in different sentences. These are the references and resources for you. You can check them out anytime you like. And finally, for more information and lessons, you can visit us on the website ain.egu.sa, and for Twitter, ain_egu. And for this number, if you got any information or inquiry or technical support. That was all for today. Thank you for watching this. Until I see you again, have a good day and assalamu alaikum.